day scarlet hibiscus flowers, from which it will be seen that pockets were not necessary to his well-being. Besides, pockets were impossible, for his only wearing apparel consisted of a piece of calico several inches wide. A pocket-knife he wore in his hair, the blade snapped down on a kinky lock. His most prized possession was the handle of a china cup, which he suspended from a ring of turtle shell, which in turn was passed through the partition cartilage of his nose. But, in spite of embellishments, Mauki had a nice face. It was really a pretty face, viewed by any standard, and for a Melanesian it was a remarkably good-looking face. Its one fault was its lack of strength. It was softly effeminate, almost girlish. The features were small, regular, and delicate. The chin was weak, and the mouth was weak. There was no strength nor character in the jaws, forehead. In the eyes only could be caught any hint of the unknown quantities that were so large a part of his make-up, and that other persons could not understand. These unknown quantities were pluck, pertinacity, fearlessness, imagination, and cunning. And when they found expression in some consistent and striking action, those about him were astounded. Mauki's father was chief over the village of Port Adams, and thus, by birth, a salt-water man. Mauki was half amphibian. He knew the way of the fishes and oysters, and the reef was an open book to him. Canoes also he knew. He learned to swim when he was a year old. At 7 years he could hold his breath a full minute and swim straight down to the bottom through 30 feet of water. And at 7 years he was stolen by the Bushmen, who cannot even swim and who are afraid of salt water. Thereafter Mauki saw the sea only from a distance, through rifts in the jungle and from open spaces on the high mountain-sides. He became the slave of old Fanfoa, head chief over a score of scattered bush villages on the range lips of Malaita, the smoke of which, on calm mornings, is the only evidence the seafaring white men have of the teeming interior population. For the whites do not penetrate Malaita. They tried it once, in the days when the search was on for gold, but they always left their heads behind to grin from the smoky rafters of the bushmen's huts. When Mauki was a young man of 17, Fanfoa got out of tobacco. He got dreadfully out of tobacco. It was hard times in all his villages. He had been guilty of a mistake. Suo was a harbour so small that a large schooner could not swing at anchor in it. It was surrounded by mangroves that overhung the deep water. It was a trap, and into that trap sailed 2 white men in a small ketch. They were after recruits, and they possessed much tobacco and trade goods, to say nothing of 3 rifles and plenty of ammunition. Now there were no salt-water men living at Suo, and it was there that the bushmen could come down to the sea. The ketch did a splendid traffic. It signed on 20 recruits on the first day. Even old Fanfoa signed on. And that same day the score of new recruits chopped off the 2 white men's heads, killed the boat's crew, and burned the ketch. Thereafter, and for 3 months, there was tobacco and trade goods in plenty, and to spare in all the bush villages. Then came the man of war that threw shells.